Today is another episode of Start the Beat podcast, which people are familiar with. And this will be a special edition of the show, a rare subsect of episodes, which we like to call Strangers in My House. I have not met you before today. We met each other maybe about 10 minutes ago on my porch.
Yeah.
I want to thank you now for being here in my basement of my home.
And not robbing you yet.
Yes, not yet. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for the one and only TK KAVI. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, man. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, I appreciate it. I have just recently become aware of you thanks to you being, somebody that's putting themselves out there, reaching out to get the word across about their art, their music, and trying to connect with people, which is my favorite breed of human being. Yeah. So thank you for reaching out to come on the show. And it's always exciting to have conversations like this and get to meet somebody in real time with lights and cameras and no pressure whatsoever. Yeah, right. super casual.
The best way to casually meet somebody.
So for anybody out there that is not familiar with TK KAVI, let's start there. What's the pitch? Tell people about yourself.
My pitch is that I originally made music because I wanted to prove a bunch of people wrong, that I could do something that I was told that I couldn't. Life took that all away from me in a lot of ways and humbled me. And now I'm back in a second chapter of my life making music, not only for myself, but to hopefully help somebody or anybody out there who's going through a hard time realize that they don't have to let it win, that they can come back from whatever's going on in their life and they can succeed at whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, there's a lot more to my story than that, but that's, if you want a little elevator pitch, that's what it is.
Totally. I got it. And we can get there, I guess, I suppose a great place to start would be the superhero origin story of TK KAVI. What, when, and where, and why, how did the metaphorical spider of creativity bite you?
All right, so I'd say there's three major instances that I can think of. First of which was getting a D12 World CD for my birthday. I think it was my 13th birthday, in middle school. Yeah. And I listened to my band so many times that my friend, he regretted giving me the CD. Because and then I knew Purple Pills, the whole album, front to back. And the second influence was I was a huge Weird Al Yankovic fan. I don't think anybody knows this, but there is a little notebook that I burned that had a bunch of parody songs that I wrote at that time period that were not very good, but it was fun. And then I think the last bug that bit me was I went to see Green Day at Mellon Arena, and I can't remember how old we were, but it was probably around the same age. And we were on the floor, and this big guy in front of us, he looks back, sees the little kids, he's like, "Hey, you guys want to get to the front?" We were like, "Yeah." So we grab his shirt, and he just starts bulldozing people to the front of the stage, and all of a sudden we're 6 people back, and they start playing. I can't remember if it was American Idiot or Jesus Suburbia, backstage. And I jumped up in the air, and the whole crowd just squished me into where I was floating and levitating for 10 seconds as Billy Joe Armstrong comes out on stage. And that was the moment I was like, I want to do that for the rest of my life.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's quite the food pyramid of influence you got going on there.
Yeah. Which we can get into that as well. Because my first mixtape was called Students of the Game. Mm-hmm. So in high school, My real origin of music, I played bass in a non-existent band named The Allergic Reaction. We never played a show. We worked on a couple songs. Yeah. But the band never got together. It was hard to get people focused, and I kind of had this real passion already, even though I wasn't very good at the bass and just started writing music. I decided, well, what's an easier path than having a band is rapping. I already knew rap from Eminem, so I was like, I'll try that. And I put together a rap group with 2 other guys, and we made a mixtape called Students of the Game because I sat down from 9th grade to 11th grade. And my friend just made me study all the classic rappers and beefs like Cannabis and LL Cool J and, obviously Biggie and Tupac, going back to Slick Rick and Big Daddy Kane, then, moving up into more modern rap and going through NWA and how Eminem got with Dre, and just actually studying the culture of it. Yeah. And so after we did all that, I felt like I was, at least prepared to start my journey into rapping. And then rap became my main thing. I was opening up for like Ty Dolla $ign, like major artists like in the city. I became Drusky Entertainment's main opener for the rap shows, but I don't know. It just felt like there was a barrier, not in that, not in like the cultural barriers or anything, but rap just became so oversaturated.
Sure.
Because if there's one genre that anybody could do right now, it is make a rap song. Now there are people that are better at it, or more unique, have a better message.
Sure.
But I also had this passion for rock. So that's when I decided to put together a band and come out with my first album, Living in a Daydream, which was like a huge sidestep for me, but it changed the course of my life.
Yeah. I think that there's kind of like a similar trajectory to the two of us and like my musical background, where I grew up listening to all different kinds of music, and I wanted to be in bands and things like that, but you couldn't. I just didn't have those resources. But I was like, well, I do know how to make beats.
Yeah,
and I was like making goofy rap songs with my friends in high school and shit, just like not serious at all, but I enjoyed the process.
Yeah.
So I started trying to take it more seriously, did that for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, I really want a band. And by that point, I had met some people through playing my shows as a solo artist that were musicians that were like, hey, if you ever want a band, hit me up. And then one day I did. And then, now it's like, I don't really do the solo rap thing anymore. I just focus on being in a band, which is like what I always wanted to do. Yeah. And I think it's, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I feel like it's so much easier to get my creative vision across with a full band experience, and having other people bring their ideas to the table somehow feels more fulfilling in a way,
Yeah. So it's funny because I've always been like a control freak with my music. Like it was once I made that rap group and we made that first mixtape, it got to the point where I was writing all the hooks and I was even finishing some of the verses for the guys, and like nothing on them. They were good artists. I was just very serious.
Motivated. Yeah,
motivated. So we made a deal, and it was like, we're all going to try to make a solo mixtape. If all of us make a solo mixtape, we'll continue the group. If not, I'm just going to go independent. And I was the only one that made a mixtape. So then I moved into an independent part of my career where I vertically integrated by learning graphic design. I went to school for marketing and digital media. So I learned how to shoot videos and shoot all my own content. I learned how to make websites, business cards, like how to make merchandise that I would sell at my shows. I managed myself.
You got to do it.
So I just I tried to, I throughout my career have done every part of the process of like managing and being an artist. And it got lonely just being a rapper doing that, like I was starting to get booked for good shows. I was playing like those college, little mini festivals that they throw. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think it just started getting like overwhelming a little bit and just too much on me. So I wanted to put together a team. And as I was talking to some of the guys, I wrote this song, Living in a Daydream. And then like, I didn't know that like 3 or 4 years later, I'd end up building a whole band and culture around it, because like, I think it's one of those things too. I just felt like in my life I needed to change. I still rap. I still rap on the rock songs. I will always love rap, and I love rapping. But like you said, like I feel like artistically, I was getting my point across with a lot of words with rap. It was funny because when I wrote my first rock song, I pulled the page up next to my last rap song, and it was like a third, maybe a fourth of the length. Yeah. But I feel like I not only got the emotion across better, but in a more unique way. And I had to be choosy with my words and make every single word count, rather than like I could just have a little throwaway half bar. I could just, use this line to get to this line. And I think that they're both hard in their own way, but I think it's harder to tell people exactly what you're thinking in a rock song because you only have so many words.
Totally. That's something that, something I could really appreciate about a rock song is like the simplicity of something like a song that Kurt Cobain would have written, mm-hmm. where it's like, there's maybe 3 or 4 lines, but they sting way harder than like some big, long 5-minute, 1,000 bar rap song that's trying, but also I've heard the flip, like where sometimes I think what makes, people that are creating hip hop or MCs or whatever label you want to put on them, what makes the greats are the ones that can keep your attention for a million fucking bars. And you're like, I can't stop listening to this motherfucker. Yeah. Like, cause like they could do it. But I've heard plenty of times where it's like, you had one good verse and now you're trying to make a song. It's either you get 2 features on your song and you hope that they're on theme with the topic of the song, or you write 2 other half-ass verses that just aren't that interesting.
Yeah.
You know? And like, that's kind of a bummer for me as a creative, like, or like as a creative listening to other people's work. You know, I want to be engaged for the whole duration of that piece.
Yeah, and of course you're going to be more, you know, prone to hearing that, oh, okay, this makes no sense. You're just moving in another direction because you're thinking that way. Where a lot of listeners maybe are listening for a good beat. They're putting something on in the background. You know, like sometimes that doesn't matter, but I feel like your average listener does, you know, tune out. If you're not telling a story, you know, if you're not taking me anywhere, I mean, if it's at least not very like interactive with the cadences and keeping, you know, keeping mixing it up, then, you know, that's like what Kendrick does so well is he not only does he tell stories, but the songs, you almost have to stay tuned because I don't believe the song's going to stay like this for the whole song.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm ready for this ride that I'm going to go on where it's going to change. It's going to take me different places, up and down emotions. Like he's like a composer, you know,
absolutely.
And a rapper.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that I took a lot of influence from him. There was a period of time where, you know, he was my main influence, even when I was moving into the rock stuff. So I was like, how do I make these like standalone songs that individually have enough change throughout them, enough diversity to keep a listener listening, while also putting them together in a way that I can tell us an entire story through a 15-song album that takes your emotions from like this happy place at the beginning to a dark place and Light of Day and Sucker for the Dark, where I go into like the darkest corners of my mind, and then back up through like this chaos of a bad relationship going wrong into like, you know, substance abuse, and then finally to this place of where I was kind of loving myself again, and ending with, you know, me trying to find like true happiness, which get into that, but that didn't end that way at the time. So, you know, the next album is a continuation from there. But yeah, I studied like American Idiot. I studied Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, Good Kid, Mad City, like just any of those major albums that you can just play from front to back. I wanted to know what made them tick and why they were able to do that.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of power in keeping those influences with you and carrying them into your work. And it's funny sometimes how, like, you know, there's millions of songs being released every fucking day, probably, right? But I'm at this stage of my life now where like I think that like the majority of my like influences that like really impacted me are the same ones from like when I first started. Yeah. It's like there's like a benchmark of like these like 4 or 5 albums where it's like I always go back to those things, no matter how much new music I continue to create, and no matter how much new music comes out from other people. Even some of those artists that are on that list, that top tier list, even some of their newer music, I'm like, I don't even care about that. It's like I'm like so locked into this specific thing, and it's like really amazing how like a piece of art can have that sort of like a lifelong impact on somebody. And just like I'm like continuing to sort of chase just like coming even like a fraction of a step close to like that the greatness that are some of these records, you know. But it's like it's what continues to inspire me, but also sometimes makes me feel like maybe I'm kind of a crazy person. You know, like, well,
anybody, I think you kind of said a little bit in that BB Guns podcast you did, which was a great episode. But it's like, you know, anybody who wants to get into this is a little crazy. You know,
definitely.
It takes a little bit of chemical imbalance in your brain to decide, you know, I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to try to make some money at it.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, there's certainly ways to make money, even in the arts, you know what I mean? Like you could be a lizard behind the scenes making way more money than the people that are actually putting their shit out there. We can't
talk about that, man.
But, you know, that's the thing is, like, and I think you understand that because you're somebody that has taken that path of like, I'm going to be in control of my own destiny here, which means you got to wear more hats than anyone should ever wear.
Yeah.
You know,
and I make custom hats, so I wear a lot of hats.
You know, and like, it's really hard to stay on top of everything. And if you know, put this is an analogy I make a lot, but you put your life onto a pie chart, right? You only have 100% of your time.
Yeah.
And if you got to do 25 things as good as possible to make your vision work. Yeah. How much percentage of your time, if you divide that pie chart, you put 25 things on your 100%. Yeah. Then all of a sudden it's like, you know, you could give everything, a little bit of a percentage.
Yeah.
And if you want to start, I want to put more time into writing, well, it's like, well, what are you taking away from?
Well, see, so I got
crazy.
Two schools of thought on that, because, you know, I never was. I said it on my first album, it's like, whether I make $100 or $100 million, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And, you know, so with that mentality, I was able to say, okay, for like these 3 years, I'm going to become the best videographer in the city. For these 3 years, I'm going to become the best graphic designer. For these couple of years, I'm going to be the best clothing designer. Now, I'm still doing music in the background of all that, but building all those skill sets allowed me to create a better product with my music as well. But that was like, okay, I was doing like hey, let's just take up all this pie chart, and then I wasn't making time for family or myself or, you know, whatever. So then as I'm getting older, a book that changed my life was Atomic Habits. It's this book, Atomic Habits, about how if you make atomic changes in your life, they will make atomic changes in your life, like on the grandiose scheme, in time. Yeah. So like, I wanted to work on my writing. So I picked up a book called How to Be a Better Writer. It was a book that John Mayer read when he went to Berkeley, or How to Write Better Lyrics. And I just read a half a chapter a morning while I drank my coffee. And then I wanted to work on my singing. So I got a singing like warm-up app that I do every single morning in the shower. I wanted to start working out, so I started off by doing 25 push-ups and 25 sit-ups a day. Now I'm doing almost 100 push-ups. I'm doing a 15-minute sit-up routine, 8 miles on the bike, and sometimes I go run a mile or hit the gym. But that built up very slowly over like a 4-month period.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm finding that, like, even learning the guitar, now I'm taking a half an hour lesson every single day on the guitar. Yeah. And I just like fit them in where I had these times where I was like just watching YouTube or scrolling Instagram. So I'm replacing times that I feel like, you know, I don't need to spend more time on social media. I don't need to spend more time on YouTube. You know, I need to like just take these little pockets of time that I have. And if I slowly learn all of these things together, then instead of having to spend the next 6 months learning the guitar and doing nothing else, I can still be accomplishing my goals in music, recording my new album, promoting it with my new content, and just slowly learning the guitar. I don't need to learn it by tomorrow. Yeah. You know, as long as I learn it, you know, in the future, I'm taking a course, so I'm able to follow the course. But yeah, like small changes that make bigger changes in your life over time.
Sure. You know, we're having a conversation about like patience and persistence and productivity, the 3 Ps, baby. And like, you know, like that's, you know, a matter of like, in a way, it's like the pie chart analogy still works. It's just you're putting less things on the fucking pie chart. Yeah. You know what I mean? Rather than trying to do 25 things at once, it's like, well, I'm going to focus on these 4. Yeah. And be patient and not worry about being in a rush, which is like, I think one of the biggest downfalls for younger creators, not necessarily younger in age, but people that are just newer to trying to create something, regardless of however old they are. Yeah. You know, like, I think things like social media and how fast the world moves these days, kind of pushes you to maybe feel like you need to do things quicker. I need more content. I need to do this and that and this and that. And like, sure, but you could also take your time and wait until you have something that's really worthwhile and put it out there instead of just constantly, I don't know. It's just like kind comparing. Of like, it's just like comparing yourself to others and just like, I think burning people out on like releasing content that is like kind of just half-assed. Yeah. Like, I'd rather see less good stuff than like 1,000 like boring things from somebody.
And I think that the reason a lot of people do that and put out all this stuff is because a big problem for us right now is comparison. You know, and I forget, you know, I think either Muhammad Ali or Bruce Lee say it was like comparison is the thief of joy, or it's also the death of creativity. Yeah. Because as soon as you start comparing yourself to somebody else, everything you do is going to feel like it's under a microscope, and it's going to feel inferior, you know, and you're going to feel like you're not up to a standard. So then what do? Let's just throw everything at the wall, you know, and let's just like, you know, Russ, he made it by putting out a song every single day. Yeah. That's Russ. You know, that's not you. Like, just doing what somebody else did is not going to guarantee the same results. And people think that it will. You know, that's why people get those self-help books and think, if I do exactly what's in this self-help book, no, it's not going to work exactly for you. Like, I read Atomic Habits. I took 1 or 2 small things from it that I implemented in my life, and it's changing my life for the better. Do I live the entire book? No, I don't live, you know, exactly how it says. But, yeah, like you were saying, like a lot of people are just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall, and then they're depressed when it's not working.
Sure. Or like, you know, one of the biggest fears that I always had as a creator, especially when I was first starting out, was the idea of finding success while wearing a mask, like getting popular off of something that you do that isn't your true voice.
Yeah.
Like, oh, say like, I'm going to just make this silly, like, I guess we'll speak in 2026 terms. I'm going to make like a song that I know might be a good sound for TikTok or something like that.
Yeah.
Because like, I just want to blow up. But then say that happens. And now all of a sudden it's like, I'm the guy that has to make this type of, that's not even what I want to do. That's not where my heart is. You know, my passion is in something else, but now I'm doing this thing just for success. And now it's like, well, this isn't what I wanted. Now this dream that I thought I wanted is kind of tainted because I can't even express myself in the success that I found. And if I were to, people wouldn't like it. And you see that happen a lot to people that are even very, very famous. Like it's super rare that some artists really get to express themselves to a point where no matter what they do, they still receive critical acclaim. A lot of time fans will turn their back on people once they start to show their true colors. And it's a shame.
Well, yeah, I think that brings me to like two things. One is like, reminds me of the dog chasing a car thing. It's like, not know what you're going to do when you catch it. If you're going to do a campaign on social media, you have to have a plan. Like I just launched my social media campaign like 2 weeks ago to, because I never got a real chance to promote my album because once it came out, we had quick success. We ended up playing on KDKA to promote the Millville Music Festival where we played the final slot on the last day. And it was one of the best performances of my life. It was one of the best nights of my life. And it was right before a lot of things in my life took a turn for the worse. And I kind of spiraled. Like relationships, my mother passing away. Just like a lot of things happened that put me in a space where like, I never promoted it. I never gave it the love that it could have got. So now that I'm healthy and back to me, I started a campaign where like, I was like, I want to post every single day. How do I do that and not burn myself out? I took 2 or 3 days and I set up a backdrop in my basement with a camera and some colored lights. And I took the best 6 songs on the album, my favorite part from each one of those songs. I tied them together into one audio piece and I performed the whole thing all the way through a couple of times or 2 times for each video. And then I just pick the best cuts of each one, edit them exactly the same. And then I stagger the song and the type of video with my posts. So I'm able to post every day. I have a version with and without the instrumental in the background. So like I had a plan going in. So now I'm on the 25th day of posting and I don't feel burned out at all. Like all I have to do every day is just select one from the folder, put it in, and post it. And now I'm at a point where I'm running a little low. So now I have to go and shoot another set of videos. So, but what I'm doing is I tracked all the views, how they did based off the ads, what ads I ran, which one's got the most comments, interactions, and I'm going to only shoot videos that are similar to those and then shoot a whole new set of videos. So I'm going to do A/B testing, and go back and forth. And if I didn't have that plan, I would just be setting my phone up every single day like, oh, God, okay, I got to shoot something, grab a guitar, hey, I'm doing this. Yeah. Like, I'd be stressed and I would have quit by now.
Totally. I think that it's really important if you're going to enter the boxing ring of social media, right? You want to be prepared. You want to have a game plan. How many boxing analogies can I make? You gotta know not only how to handle your own footwork and leg work, but that of your, not to call other people on social media opponents, but in some way, if you want to be a little fun with it, like you're trying to, it's an attention economy, right? We're trying to divert something. Like any time that somebody is spending interacting with your art is time that you're taking away from that they could be interacting with somebody else. So it is that kind of, not to be like evil. I feel evil when I say shit like that, but that's kind of what it is. And that's like a harsh reality to like the darker side of what this is. And sometimes that can kind of pollute you if you get like really, if you let it pollute you and you become obsessed over things and like, I need to create this content so I could do better than this. We're talking about comparing again. But I think what it seems like you're doing, and what I think is really important for creators to do when they put themselves in this position, is to just be very hyper aware of who you are, what you're trying to do, and be genuine. Like, hey, like I am a musician, so I'm going to film a bunch of content that is about my music or of my music. And that's it.
And I'm a videographer, so I try to make my videos look cinematic, and just like, so I'm showing my video editing and videography along with my music. So, it goes hand in hand. And like, thinking of that boxing metaphor, like two things. One, if you're going to decide to box, not only do you need to know how to jump and move, you need to know how to wrap your hands before you even put the gloves on. You know what I mean? Like, people just want to throw the gloves on and hop in there, and they don't even know that, like, oh, wait, I'm just posting at all the wrong times. I'm not even using the tools that they have. I'm exporting stuff at the wrong quality, so I'm not allowed to promote it.
Breaking fingers.
Exactly. You're just breaking fingers. And then two is, with that darker, evil side of it, like, if you want to make it bigger than, just having a career in music, that's nice, and you have fans and you play shows, if you want to make it to that next level, do your research and listen to what these people say, because I'm telling you what, just from this campaign, I'm coming up on like 11,000 followers. I have a couple videos with like 26,000 views, and I'll tell you what, for every 10 really awesome, hey, we love this, there's somebody in my comments going, delete your account, you're trash, you're garbage, nobody loves you, like stuff like that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and if you are not mentally prepared to handle that, don't do it. Because it will crush you. Me, I look at it, I give it a little laugh, I delete the comment, and I block the guy. You know why? Because I don't want to base my career around starting fights with people. I'm trying to base it around like love and good energy. The old me would have went to their page, ripped apart every single picture, but I would have spent all day like, finding, every single photo in this guy's thing, figure out what he does, like, trying to get him back. But like, that's wasted energy.
No, definitely. There's so much of that negativity that you definitely really, really have to be prepared for. Yeah. And honestly, I would say the negativity is good, because it just means you're really reaching a wide enough audience that you're getting outside that comfort bubble that I find a lot of independent creators tend to, for one, even if they're trying to get out of it, it's hard to get out of that bubble, right? Mm-hmm. To actually reach new people is a very difficult thing to do. Yeah. So I feel like it's so much worse to like release something and have nobody say anything about it. Or if you're only getting nice comments, that's also not good. Like, you need like, I like when I see a couple dislikes on my YouTube video or something like that. I'm like, good, this means it's just reaching enough people that some people it's not for finding it, but that's okay. Yeah. Because there's the people that like it always outweigh the people that don't like it. Yes. And you have to be very cognizant of that.
Like the people that don't like it, like I've gotten some comments that were just like, hey man, this ain't it. Stuff like that. And it's like, sure. All right, cool. It ain't it for you.
Yeah, thanks. Totally.
And then the next like 10 comments are, I've just put this on my playlist. I listen to this every single morning when I get out of the shower. And so like when I stopped focusing on all the negative comments and started really like interacting with the people that are giving you positive comments. I comment on every single positive comment, and like I thank people and I'm just grateful to be able to make music. So when somebody comes to me with negativity, I delete it. I wish them the best, Yeah,
God, probably I want to say 9 times out of 10, but probably realistically 10 times out of 10, the people that do that type of shit, it's like, I'm not creating art for you anyways. Yeah. And like, chances are, if we were to ever have a conversation about somebody else's art, I probably wouldn't agree with you anyways. Like, we are just, there's billions of people in the world. It's okay that we don't get along. I'm sorry that I inconvenienced you, but thanks for the interaction. Thanks for stimulating the algorithm a little bit for me.
And I bet 10 times out of 10, you didn't ask for their opinion anyway.
No. But that's the thing is like, I think that going back to like just needing to be prepared for that sort of thing, like, sure, you didn't ask for that opinion, but when you make something public, all is fair. I've gotten some like criticism about the podcast over the years that I've seen in YouTube comments, and like, it's never been anything super negative. And I think sometimes like that critique, like, even if I don't agree with it, it's always interesting to hear, like one critique that I've gotten in the past from people, which is something that I actively try not to do, but I'm even doing it now, is talking too much. Even though I'm the host of this fucking show, I've had people be like, oh, I wish they would have let the guest talk more. And I'm like, sorry. Yeah. Or, me not like asking specific questions about like somebody's past and like what their influences are and things like that. Because for me, those aren't always the most interesting conversations, but people like to know that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's like, even if I'm not super interested in like, we'll say like what exactly your Spider-Man origin story is, I'm always more interested in like, what are you doing now? What's going on now? Which we will segue into in a moment. But people that don't know you, that aren't me, that are, I guess, normal brained like to know those things.
Yeah.
So, you gotta work it out.
That's why Hot Ones and Nardwuar, so popular, because people want to figure out like what your favorite, Lunchables was when you were in school, and people want to know, like, they want to know stuff down to like what color curtains you picked at your house, and what's your cat's name,
Totally, I think that just trying my best here to facilitate human conversations with creatives, so all of that being said, I think that now is a good time to segue into the what's going on now. I mean, I guess we're kind of talking about that because we're discussing your current social media promotion and strategies and things like that. But in terms of creating like anything new, is that something that's going on in the background, or are you really just kind of taking that time, keeping the pie chart light to focus on promoting this work that you didn't get an opportunity to before?
So, little more origin story to get to that, because like that
fair enough.
But last year I checked myself into a rehab after very long battle with substance abuse, my mental health and anxiety, and I finally just surrendered to it, went in, and I'm coming up like 10 days now on 9 months clean. And in that time period, I had all these ideas, so many ideas while I was using, couldn't start a single one. Right?
Sure.
And I came out of rehab and made 50 new songs in a month. I wrote all this new music in different genres because I was starting to get influenced by funk, a little bit by electronic rock, a little more by hip hop. I was listening to some Imagine Dragons, some Led Zeppelin. I was just bouncing back and forth. So I ended up finalizing my idea to put out. I'm going to put out what's supposed to be a 5-part album series, starting with Living in a Daydream. And then it goes the Book of His Evil Romance, which is a tale about like twisted relationships that I was in. It goes into Fever Dream 103, which is the fever dream of being in, darkest place and substance abuse. And then into God's Funk, where I came back to my faith. And, I don't say God as in like the straight in the Bible definition, to me, God is the universe, God is everything. And just being grateful to be alive. And then coming out of that into the pink cloud effect, which is the effect that you get when you first get sober, where you feel like, you can breathe for the first time. And, I'm going to tell my story through the songs and those albums all the way through.
Yeah, this is like the TK KAVI cinematic universe.
Yes. which is crazy that you mentioned that, because I am also working on an anime.
Okay.
I'll have to come back with that one.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I love all of the ideas. I love just the passion to keep creating and the passion to just have a plan and a vision. Sometimes the weight of that vision can be a lot, but it's like that. It's a lot in an inspiring way. I'm also somebody that if I'm going to do something, it's never a small thing. Yes. There's a lot of artists that are very much oh, I'm just working on singles and stuff like that. And I'm kind of jealous of that.
Yeah.
I wish I could just be oh yeah, just do a song, do a video, put it out. That's it. For me, it's all everything has to be this fucking big fucking project and this big vision.
Yeah.
But that's just how my brain works.
Yeah, I understand completely, because it's so bad for me that my girlfriend asked me the other day, she was like, is there anything that you can just do for fun? Can you please just do something for fun? Because I've found hiking and some things here or there, but if I try something creative, my brain is I need to be the best at this. And I don't know where that comes from my childhood, from whatever, but I end up, whatever I do, I put 110% in. If I started designing clothes, right? And I was just customizing some pants and doing stuff and making jewelry. And then I started customizing hats. I met this hat company named Keith and James in Miami. He gave me a $500 fedora that Cedric the Entertainer and these guys were wearing.
Yeah.
And I customized it, and we were supposed to launch it in Neiman Marcus and I was just I can't just do anything.
Yeah.
It has, I don't know. My brain doesn't work on hobby levels. It works on passion. If I find something that I like, I put everything into it. But that's where we were talking about the life balance thing. I've had to put a lot of that on hold and just put in the back burner, because right now I do want to focus on music.
Yeah. I think that I find myself getting into similar predicaments with creative things. You know, like I have this podcast, which is something that is not me creating music, but it's still me creating something. But if I'm not doing a podcast and if I'm not playing a show, I'm probably just like up in my studio working on stuff.
Yeah.
I will go out to hang out with my girlfriend, maybe to hang out with a couple other friends if they hit me up. But for the most part, if nobody hits me up, I can hermit real easy and just work. It's all I genuinely give a fuck about. Like, no shade to anybody that I love that may be listening to this, but it's like, it's so hard for me to not be like, my work is everything.
Yeah.
And it's like all I want to fucking do.
Yeah. And
you know, like today, like fucking, I did a photo shoot for a band and I was supposed to have a podcast, another podcast before you, and then this one. And then like, yeah, I'm wrapped up by that by 7:30, maybe eat dinner, hang out with my girlfriend, then see what else I can do.
Yeah.
You know, just every ounce of the day. Like, I'm not fucking around. I just want to work.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. And
I don't know what that is.
I think it's the thing that people don't understand about people working in a creative space, because like there's no cap. You know what I mean? Like there is no cap to this. There's not like I just want to get that corner office, and when I get that corner office, I'm happy. I'm going to ride it out to get my 401k and my social security check and I'm good. It's like you always feel like you can be doing more.
Sure.
You know, you always feel like there's what else could I be doing? So to me, like the most important thing, you know, you hear it all the time, but the most important thing that people do not see with artists and creatives is what happens when these cameras turn off.
Sure.
You know, it's like the stuff that happens behind closed doors, the doubt, the, you know, extra hours, the late nights that you don't want to do, but you feel like you got to finish this because you're in the zone, you're in the flow state, you know, the amount of investment you make into equipment and stuff, like none of this is cheap. You know, like, and somebody had to invest into it. So like for me, I've been building up my home studio to the point where now I don't need to go to a professional studio anymore. You know, I have the software, the equipment. I took a 6 month, it was like 6 months of audio engineering courses online to learn how to mix and master my own project and learn Logic like the back of my hand. But like, you know, that's not stuff that I'm going to put on an album or put in a music video. You know, that's just stuff that I just put time in on. And it's like, what if this wouldn't work out for me, people could say that's time wasted. To me, I learned a whole craft, a whole skill set you know, in that.
You know, I think that it's really a question of like, what is it working out for you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think like for some people, especially people that maybe aren't creatively driven, and they're thinking more about like the end goal always kind of has like some sort of like dollar amount to it or some sort of like thing that's attached to money. Like, oh, like having like a home or this, like all of these like assets, money, things like that maybe I know I don't certainly give a fuck about. I mean, sure, it's nice to have a home to live in, but like it's not a fucking priority. You know what I mean? I could do everything that I care about the most in a fucking the smallest, crappiest place. All I need is one power outlet and Wi-Fi access. You know, I could fucking rule the world from them. Everything else is supplemental, you know? But I think that what is like, you know, what were we talking about? Like, what is like making it working out, you know, like what is that for
like,
you?
What is my definition of success? So a while ago, I separated my definition of success from my goal, because my goal is to get my music to a point where I can voice it to the largest audience possible, to be an inspiration to the next generation, and to help people, as many people as I can, to like through my music in some way, whether it inspires them to be creative, whether they hear that message. Because you know what, who did that for me was Jelly Roll. Right before I went into rehab, I went to see Jelly Roll and Post Malone at PNC Park. And he came out on that stage and he was like, 5 years ago, I was a heroin addict and a felon. And now I'm playing it. I'm with God, sober. I'm at PNC Park playing for 10,000 people. And that moment changed my life. And I want to be able to do that for other people. But my definition of success is if I help one singular person with my music, I am successful.
Yeah.
And almost every day I have somebody tell me that my music either got them out of a bad place, like helped them, get their day up, even just made them a little happier, which means that I'm successful every single day. Does that mean I reached my goal? No. But I am no longer driven off of being successful. I'm driven off of, art and reaching that goal, but I don't have like a timeline on it. I'm just going to let it happen.
Sure. Yeah. I think that there is a reality where so much of this is obviously dependent on your work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Being willing to put in the time to create the work, to do stuff that is interesting enough for people to latch onto it, right? That is what you have control over.
Yeah.
So much of it, especially like passing that certain threshold of metaphorical success,
Mm-hmm.
we really don't have control over. So much of it is luck, like meeting the right person hearing your thing, like so many things just that you can't control. All you can really control is continuing to put things out there of quality and then just kind of hoping that the stars align at some point.
Well, I'd say that with the hoping part, the only part I slightly would disagree with the hoping is, yes, like that feels like the only thing you can do. For me, through my early 20s, I would put out, as much as I can, just be out there, but then I would just keep my eyes and ears so open on all my surroundings. And then I ended up even traveling to Miami every single month and traveling to New York every month, because I found out real quick that in a city like Pittsburgh, you really got to grow everything from scratch. You got to grow it. But in New York, you can turn any street corner and meet somebody that'll change your life. And that's what happened. I turned a corner. It was actually in Miami, but it was an artist from New York. And I got introduced to him through one of my band members' family friends, who won't even get into what he does, but he is a very good person to have in my corner. And he introduces me to Jay Rodriguez. And Jay Rodriguez is a Grammy-nominated saxophone player who was the lead tenor sax for Prince and played with Miles Davis. And he listens to one of my songs and likes it. And because of the person I'm getting introduced through, does 3 of the songs on my album for free. So now I have 3 songs from a Grammy-nominated artist because I took the gamble of traveling to these cities with no plan, and just meeting these people. So I think it's like a combination of hope. I still had hope when I was there. I could have went there and nothing could have happened.
Totally.
But I think when you are out marketing, you're trying to meet people, shake every hand you can. You never know who is sitting in the room that could change your life. If people are calling you annoying for talking about your art so much, they're not the people you need to be talking to.
Sure.
Because I would just talk about my art and music all the time, and then it would land in the ears of somebody who'd be like, hey, literally the best example. I was living in Miami, and I had just made a video wall for this store to promote the clothing line that I was selling. They let me make a custom install. And that's my first time I ever did anything like that, like a technology sculpture thing. And I'm in this bar, and I hear this guy saying, man, I wish I had a digital artist to build me a digital art installation for Art Palm Beach. And I turned around, and I was like, I could do that. And he's like, what do you mean? I show him this little video. I'm like, yeah, this is just like a little demo I did, but I could do that. Whatever it is, I got you. And he's like, all right, let me think about it. I don't hear back from him for a bit. So I'm like, it's not going to happen. Calls me 3 days before the event. And he's like, I want you to build me a 13-foot tall digital art installation. You have 3 days and your budget's like $2,500. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go on Let Go and Offer Up and find every television that I can find to keep in that price range, design the piece on the way to the show. I buy a set of CCTV security cameras and DVD players to hook to the back of them. And I made it so that I made it in the shape of a face. Most of the face is security footage of the exhibition, and the eyes and the mouth are looped videos of eyes and mouths from the art pieces in the exhibition.
Oh, cool.
And we're on the day of where people are starting to walk in, and the thing's 3/4 done because one of the TVs broke. I had to go buy a new one. And the guy's getting in my face, and I'm like, if you want this installation, you need to back up and let me do this. All right, I've had 3 days to do it. I slept in my car last night, and I'm going to make this happen. And I made it happen. And by the time I could breathe and look around, I was in between a Banksy and a Mr. Warhol and a Mr. Brainwash with somebody who is a distributor for official Warhol paintings in the biggest art exhibition, besides Art Palm Beach in Southern Florida. And I had no idea the gravity of the situation because I just saw an opportunity and I chased it.
Hell yeah.
And sometimes you got to just, if you want to do this, there are some times that you're going to have to put the opportunity ahead of other things in your life. Do I recommend losing your job over a potential opportunity to make music? No. But if I don't know, especially this kind of stuff. If there's a fun night out with your friends, or you could go to a jam night where you could potentially meet a new member of your band, go to the jam night. Because you know what? You find a new member of your band, they're going to become your best friends. Those guys want to stop hanging out with you. The guys you're making music with are going to become your best friends. People that have the same vision as you. If you're always on your vision, You're going to meet people that are aligned with you. I'll tell you what, you're going to align with them so much better than these people who are complaining that you focus on that too much. You're never around,
Yeah.
all you talk about is music. All of a sudden you're around people that only talk about music and nobody's complaining.
Yeah, I think that I've gone on record to say this multiple times. I think that if I had any regrets in my life as a creative, is I wish I would have been more annoying.
Yeah.
Especially when like I could have really done something about it. Not that I can't now.
Yeah.
I'm fucking 40 years old. I have other things in my life, other distractions, priorities. I'm plenty happy where I'm at. Worked hard to get here.
And you've created a whole other creative avenue.
Yeah. But I mean, I wish when I was fucking 20, I would have been a fucking menace. Instead of being kind of like humble in the corner, not talking about my work. Even to this day, I have a hard time talking about what I do. And then, like, especially if I'm around new people, like, people know what I do, but a lot of people don't. Yeah. And, like, that's my fault. Really, at the end of the day, it's my fucking fault. So, yeah, I'm still working on that. I'm still trying to kind of get over that hurdle of, like, feeling bad about being annoying. Yeah. Even though it's like, I know I'm good at what I do.
I mean, you know what? The thing that reminded me to reach back out to you was seeing the clips that you've been posting. Like, that's, some people find that annoying. Other people like me, I get to catch little clips of the shows and catch like little interesting things people say. I love that. So like, if somebody else is like, dude, quit posting all the time, I'd be like, yo, shut up. I like seeing all this content come through because this is interesting to me. So It's like, you can, like, I guess you can't think of it as the way of being annoying. You have to think that there is a subset of people that are going to be annoyed with what I'm about to do. But
they're not helping me anyways.
I don't need them. I don't want them. And I hope they're annoyed by me so they stop, paying attention to me. Because when you find your core fans, they're going to be complaining that you're not posting enough.
Sure.
They're going to be complaining you're not coming out with enough music. And you're going to be like, what more do you want from me? I'm out here posting every day. Like, for me with these albums, my plan is to come out with an album a year for the next 4 years. And I have a whole like waterfall release strategy and things, but I did my research up front. I've planned something that I think is attainable with the band that I have or that I'm building. So I'm building a new band right now. And the skill sets that I have personally, that if I plan it in enough time ahead, that I can accomplish it. But yeah, it's going to be a little annoying because I'm going to be posting about it like all the time. I'm going to be sharing like behind the scenes clips. I'm going to be talking to my people. And when I see those obnoxious, angry people in the comments, I'm just going to ignore them because it's not for them.
Sure.
And it's like, and also it has to not even really be for the fans. It has to be for yourself first and foremost. And I love this. I love every second of it. I mean, I make videos, so me shooting content for myself isn't a drag. It's fun. The posting and scheduling stuff I have put just on autopilot. Like, I follow some accounts that talk about like the algorithm and stuff just so I can catch like one little thing here and there so I can tweak something. But like, it's not my passion to post. I made that into something that I can do just quickly, get it done with, back to making art. But like, what matters to me is the art that I'm presenting on that post.
In a way, the posting is kind of like the I have a really bad habit of making silly metaphors and analogies.
Okay,
but the posting is kind of like the push-ups, right? It's not like you want to do it, but it's part of the exercise to getting to the bigger thing.
But if you want to get ripped,
yeah.
I'll tell you what. When I started my workout routine with 25 push-ups, by the time I was up to 100, I took my shirt off. My girlfriend was like, "What?" And she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Push-ups. That's it." I was like, literally just push-ups every day. And eventually I moved on to the gym. But yeah, those push-ups gave me a foundation to work on my entire body, work on my mental health, my health. So like, yeah, the push-ups are like for me, it's like A/B testing these posts. Like I don't want to do that. I don't want to go back and look at how the ad did and change the growth audience and do all this stuff. But now I kind of have a system after doing it for like a month where it takes me like 20, 30 seconds to be like, okay, yep, that didn't work. That's did okay over here, boom. And the more you do push-ups, the less your arms are shaking. The less you're falling to the ground. The more you're just kind of knocking them out, and moving on with your day.
No doubt.
Yeah.
With another thing that I had thought about in regards to you and like unintentionally getting like this opportunity to do like the art display that you're talking about. I think there's like an interesting conversation to have about being in this position of like not just a musician, but like an overall creative that's like working in this field. And I think like being willing to say yes to opportunities, even if it seems like something that is maybe outside of your air quote wheelhouse, whatever that may be. Like sometimes you might get an opportunity to do something that can open up a huge door, even if on the surface it doesn't seem directly like related to your goals.
Yes.
It's still like get a foot in the door. Any opportunity that you have to get your foot into any sort of a door in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people fight tooth and nail for that shit. And sometimes you might just somehow stumble into something that people fight years to get.
Yeah.
And sure, maybe that's not fair, but fuck it. Take advantage of it if you can.
Hey, don't spit in the face of opportunity.
Yeah.
When opportunity knocks. You know, don't take something that you're not interested in that you also can't do. You know what I mean? Like
that's
if
fair.
If you're not interested in it, don't take the opportunity because you're not going to want to learn it. You're going to do it poorly, you know, or subpar, and then everybody's going to be upset, including you.
Yeah.
You know, but like if it's something you're interested in and somebody gives you an opportunity, and like I just call them like, you know, goal adjacent things that I've done or like career adjacent, where like all those things have gotten me to better places with my music. Like doing those art installations, I met people that were on like the board of the Cultural Trust that help with like Three Rivers Fest, you know, the arts festival and with booking for those stages. So like if you're smart and you're throughout the whole thing, you're like networking and talking to people and shaking hands, getting business cards, the opportunity that you think might just be some random side quest could lead you to your next point on your main quest, you know?
Yeah.
And like for me also though, the other side of it is what I believe life is, you know, if you want to talk grandiose, if we want to just cut to that real quick.
Please, yeah.
What I believe life is, it is a collection of experiences. And so I'm here to have as many experiences as I can. Because one, the experiences that I have can help me be a better educated, to be an influence to the people behind me who still have a chance to make the right decisions and have those experiences.
Yeah.
And two, I believe that when your soul leaves your body, it joins, you know, the consciousness, God, the universe, with those experiences to help grow it and to like expand the universe, and then a new soul comes in and they get experiences from there. So like, I don't know if you get multiple shots at this. I don't know if there's reincarnation, but I know that me right now, this is my shot to have as many experiences as I can. So I'm trying to make them beautiful memories. And, you know, I've done a lot of things like jumping out of planes and you know, I like a lot of things that had nothing to do with my music. But I'll tell you what, I put a video of it on my Instagram with my song playing in the background.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, you know, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I can never knock just having experiences, you know? You never know what it's going to do to your creativity.
Totally. I think that it's also really hard to, you know, how do you continue to create new art without new experiences to pull from? I mean, I guess there is a world where you could continue to write about the same things, the same experiences, the same things that make you happy, the same things that make you sad, blah, blah, blah. But also, sometimes it's like, I've already written this song.
Yeah.
What else is there?
I'll tell you what, like, looking back on the music that I wrote in the beginning of my career versus now, I was somebody with no experience in life. You know, people ask me now, how do I write the way that I do? How do I write these like stories, especially with some of the newer unreleased music? And I just tell them, go and live a bunch of life. You know, I lived a bunch of life, the good and the bad way. I was, you know, in penthouses in Miami with people who owned yachts and islands. And I was in a basement of a house that I shouldn't have been in, you know, with people falling asleep on the floor and wondering how I got there and not feeling like I had a way out, and everywhere in between. And I'll tell you what, there's a few things I could say I wish I wouldn't have done, but I can truly say I don't regret any of it because it made me who I am. It made me have the perspective that I have and the ability to like make music that I think can touch people on a much wider level, you know?
Yeah.
And feel like I'm not just coming from this place of judgment or like, I know, you know, I think I know what you're going through. I don't know what anybody's going through, but I went through this. And if it relates to you at all, you know, just know that you can come out the other side. You know, and like, if I didn't have all those experiences, like, yeah, part of me thinks maybe I shouldn't be here. There's a couple instances where there's a chance I wasn't here.
Yeah.
So that's the gratefulness part. You know, I'm grateful every day to wake up and be alive, sit here.
Yeah.
Be able to do this.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, you really do only get, for as much as we know, we really only, this is our shot. This is it. This is the chance. You know what I mean? Like, you have all of these, you can have millions of micro interactions with different people, writing different songs, jumping out of different planes, going to different cities, whatever, right? But it's still like, at the end of the day, it's only one story.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like heavy to think about that sometimes, but it's like also very like eye-opening and just like helps you put things into perspective of like, what do I really want to do here? It's like crazy. And sometimes when I like think about like how much I've done over the course of my life, and it's like, I could talk to somebody for hours about all of these things that I've done. But also on the flip, I could like look at it from a very negative standpoint and be like, I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
And it's
all
like,
perspective.
What perspective do you want to have?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was like my perspective while I was in the midst of, my substance use. I blew it. That I had everything in front of me. I had, connections with record labels. I got a $75,000 art installation at the airport that I had started that on February 14th of 2020. You want to guess what happened to that art installation? COVID. Gone.
Yeah.
Right after moving to an apartment that I was going to pay off with the art installation. Got approved for a $10,000 credit card. I was on cloud 9. I was going to finish this art installation. I was going to move to Japan for a couple months. I was going to travel through Europe and talk to art galleries and, had this whole plan, right? And I thought I was in control of my own destiny at this point. I thought that I was the king of my own world, the god of my own universe. And I learned real quick that I'm not. That I can control my actions, but I can't control the world. And I can't control, much less the city or the house, that I'm in or anything around.
Yeah.
Me. And when that happened, all I could think was, that was it. That was my last chance. I blew this. All those great things that happened to me were like nails on a chalkboard or nails in my coffin of like, this is all I'm going to be remembered for, if I'm even remembered at all. And then once I got on the other side of it, I was like, oh no, I still have this foundation of these things that I did to stand on while I build the rest of this house.
Yeah.
You don't have to throw that all away. That's still in your resume, even though it happened, not as soon as it did when, things started going bad, but it's still there. And it's still made up part of who you are. And,
Yeah. I mean, like dealing with like loss and failure and just like things falling through for anybody is fucking hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think like especially, oh no. I think that sort of stuff is very, very hard for the average person. But for a creative, it becomes very, very personal. And it's like, I think it's tied in a little bit differently where like, say like you're somebody that maybe like a promotion or something at your 9 to 5 doesn't go through or whatever. But like with art, it's really, really hard not to take that stuff personally. And the weight of it can be so heavy because like if a project falls through or somebody doesn't want to like book your art or things like that, it's hard to be like, well, what did I do wrong? What is wrong with me? And it's really easy to be like, yeah, I fucking blew it. Like I didn't do good enough.
Yeah.
And
that's
almost like, that's like another heavy part of like, you gotta be ready for this. Cause like an unfortunate reality is like, you're going to fuck up.
Yeah.
As an artist, you are going to fuck up 100%. If you're new to this, I'm telling you right now, you're gonna fuck something up and it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be really, really bad at some point in time. But that's not to be to scare anybody or anything like that.
Newsflash.
like you will fuck something up.
Yeah,
you're gonna lose a fucking ton of money. You're gonna lose friends. Your girlfriend's probably gonna break up with you. You might get a fucking divorce. These are things that can happen, and they probably will.
Do we know each other? No.
But through time, like you will find your voice, and you will find people that are actually willing to be on this journey with you. 100%.
Yeah, And it's like, yeah, I think speaking of what you were just saying too, it's like, you got to think of one or two things. One, when you're trying to compare yourself to somebody who's in a 9 to 5 or regular job with those like, oh, they didn't get that opportunity, but they built a life that is stable, that maybe they don't enjoy what they do, but it's stability. You know, some people, that's what they want. They just want stability. If you're looking for stability in art, you have to be ready to be unstable and not know where the next opportunity is going to come from, not know if the opportunity you have is going to fall through, because guess what? Everybody else that you're working with are also trying to make it in this industry.
Oh, for
so
sure.
They're not stable. So the whole industry at our level is built on an unsturdy table. Now, there is this sturdy table that's built up here that we're all trying to climb to, but all the ladders are tattered and broken. People are climbing over each other. People are cutting the rope underneath you, trying to get you to fall. So if you want to make it to that level where there's that security, because you got a manager, you got an agent who's booking you on talk shows, you know, and you get brand deals, and they make sure money's going in your pocket from commercials and stuff. You want to make it there, you just got to be ready for that perilous climb, you know, that you don't know where, if any of it is stable, and like you can't count on anything, but to also don't spit at anything. You know what I mean? Like if there's an opportunity, try and get it, but don't bet all your money on it. You know, always have like a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. You know, like always be ready to pivot at any time.
Totally. Yeah. It's not, I think that going back to the beginning of our conversation and starting out and, you know, trying to find your metaphorical tribe, trying to find the people that are in this in the way that you are. I think that one of the first things that I think tends to scare a lot of people off is that reality that like, this isn't all fun.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be that this is work where, you know, we want to be in a group together. Okay. There's like we can have fun recording songs. Sure. But there's also, you still got to do the work. You got to take some time away from your personal life to write songs or find beats or make beats and go to the studio, record this shit. Show up to a fucking show, book the show, be there on, you know, all the level of responsibilities. I think some people get burnt out on that really quick because I don't know what the fuck they're thinking this is going to be.
Yeah.
You know, like, what do you expect? This is like, you know, like, you just like, I'm in a band now, and then all of a sudden, like, somebody just come like a butler comes and knocks on your fucking door. It's like, sir, I'm here to take you to your performance. Like, no, that's not it.
The plane is ready.
Yeah, well, maybe someday, but not right now.
I think it's like a combination of things. Like when we were younger, like I'm 32, so I'm not too much younger than you. But like when we were younger, it was like, you know, early stages of social media, like very early. So where you got your perception on what being a musician was TV. You know, watching these shows, seeing these artists in commercials. You know, it was mainly from just seeing the final product.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, I want this final product. You know. So I'm just going to be a rapper. And there was no like real blueprint. You know, you can go on YouTube and look stuff up, but like nobody's at your school like, okay, we're going to have rapper education class now and teach you how to be an artist. Like, no. And then when your family heard you wanted to be an artist, they were like ashamed. You know, like my brother's a doctor. He also rapped on my first mixtape in high school. So like, you know, he kind of looked up to what I did. I look up to what he does because he took the stable route. It's not easy what he does. He does 12-hour shifts at the hospital right now, you know, in healthcare. And like, I see him and he's just always tired. You know, I respect what he does, but I put those hours in over here for no money. The same, you know what I mean? Like it's not as intensive as the job that he does, but I put in, you know, I'll have like 10-hour days.
Of course.
I'm working on stuff that I don't know if I'm going to get anything from. And, you know, people nowadays, though, I think because of social media, they're starting to get an insight into these artists who are just coming up and being like, this is me recording in my garage. You know, this is us doing this in this basement. Like, they're like, you're starting to get a glimpse of what it looks like. So I feel like it seems more like attainable to at least start, because now artists are realizing like there is a blueprint. You can go on TikTok and YouTube and find out how to make your own studio. How to like what equipment you can get for your budget that will work, you know, But like once you got it all in front of you, what none of these people are showing you is the hours of time, you know, like the hours of time that like I lost with my family, the hours of time that I almost lost myself. There was a while that I was only TK for a while, and I was kind of losing grasp on like what my morals were and what I even stand for. You know, like lost people that passed away, and I didn't spend enough time with them. You know, like the sacrifice.
Totally. You know, you mentioned earlier, we're talking about that, the concept of, you know, needing to make those sacrifices, needing to say no to hanging out with the friends, maybe saying no to a family thing because you got a show somewhere. Like, you know, you turn down a lot of opportunities because it's easy to romanticize, like, I need to put myself first. But also, there is a reality where you also need to know when to say no to yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, how do you fucking figure that out?
I think it's just, you have to become aware of yourself on a much deeper level. Like I realized that even when I was at my peak before COVID, when I was like getting all that opportunities, I was still desperate. I was desperate. Everything I was doing was out of desperation because I needed to make it. After I fell off entirely and almost lost everything, coming back now, I'm not desperate at all. I want this, so I do it out of passion.
Yeah.
I don't do it out of a place of like, I'm going to take any opportunity that comes ahead of me. You know, that's what I was doing before. I was taking any of them. And as many of those big opportunities I got burned.
For sure.
I joined in with a media company in Miami at 22, built their whole website, their whole back end for them to rip the rug out from underneath me. Peace out. You know, like I got burned a lot of times being desperate. But,
we were just talking about the...
I had a point that I was going to get to. I lost it.
I think in general, we were just talking about like the opportunities that
take away
from you.
Yeah, so now I am trying to build in these opportunities into time periods where I know I'm not going to be around the people that I love, or I know that I can afford that time. But at the same time, you also just have to evaluate what your life, like what is most important to you.
Sure.
You know, like right now, hanging out with friends is down here. You know, I've had so many friend groups come and go. I've lost friends, and I'm in this place right now where I had to drop all my friends because if I went back to hanging out with them, I wouldn't be sitting at this table right now.
Yeah.
So I started from ground zero, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make making friends a priority right now. Right now, I'm focused on meeting like-minded individuals, putting together my new band, and I happened to meet an amazing girl in the process.
Great.
So that is my only, I will not schedule stuff that interferes with that. But beyond that, all my other time, I'm doing this.
We're talking about, this is kind of like a conversation that really highlights the benefit of experience.
Yes.
Not only in life, but creativity. Because, I think when you're starting out as an artist, of course, if you're hungry, you're going to say yes to every show, every opportunity. And I think that you should, because I think that you almost need to do that to figure out what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Almost kind of similar to hanging out with different friend groups and what kind of stuff works for you and what doesn't. And you certainly seem to have figured out what doesn't work for you in a social standpoint, right?
Yeah.
But I think in a lot of ways too, it's easier to evaluate opportunities moving forward from a creative side, because while you never know who's going to be at a show or something like that, you've done enough where you can kind of smell bullshit. So it's like, hey, while I never know what could happen, I'm looking at this opportunity and I can detect little nuances that maybe this isn't worth my time.
Oh yeah, my mom said it best when I was a kid. I have to learn everything the hard way. That carried all the way into my 30s. And tell you what though, when you learn things the hard way and you fail and you get back up and you fail and you get back up, you almost get like a spider sense in the back, tingles in the back of your neck when somebody is coming up to you and they're like, hey man, you're real talented, right? I got this opportunity. I need you to build all these things for me, right? And there's no budget right now, but I need you to build all this stuff because I'm telling you, you do this. I have these connections. What connections? Oh, they're connections. They're big, and if you build all this for me, I'll take you with me.
Yeah. Fuck it, dude. I used to love, so many, it doesn't happen now as much nowadays, but back in the era when we used to have a lot of promoters in the city, that would be hey, do you want to play this show at the Smiling Moose? How many tickets can you sell and all this shit? And it's like, motherfucker, I know I'll just book the goddamn show myself if I want to play there.
Yeah.
What am I getting out of you doing this for me?
Yeah.
Absolutely, this is fucking nonsense.
Yeah,
But if that person would have emailed me when I was starting out before I had those connections, I wouldn't have known any better.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's one of those lessons
I'll tell you what. Like when I said I was working with Drusky, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was coming off like playing my first 2 shows were the back of an ice skating rink for 9 people that were sitting on couches that I had to get them to stand up and walk to the stage, and I still put on a show for them because I didn't go out there to bitch and moan. I came out to put on a show. And then I played a couple of little small venues. I opened for Dizzy, what's his name? Dizzy Wright down in this, like, I don't know if you know the venue in Oakland when you're coming down the hill towards the Hot Metal Bridge. There's that little venue there on the hill. It's tucked in there. And tell you what, like almost nobody came. Yeah. It was funny though. I opened up for a Juggalo played before me. Okay. He got up and kicked one of his fans in the face. And then I come on stage and I was like, I won't be doing any of that. Which I've had that situation happen to me like twice, but I'll say
if you're an independent rapper, you've played with Juggalos. Yes, absolutely. Exactly. It happens. Sure. Yes.
And then I found Drusky and they were like, hey, if you sell the most tickets out of the openers, we'll make you the main opener. And to me, that was a challenge.
Sure.
So I went out for like Mike Stud or something and stole like 50 tickets, got the main opening spot.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, sweet. And they gave me a merch table. So I sold my merch. I made some money. I got like $2 a ticket on the back end. Yeah. And I was like, sweet. So then Ty Dolla $ign was coming to town. I sold 100 tickets. Right. And I come up and not only am I not allowed in the green room because he wants his own green room, I'm put in like a little closet, but then they kick us out of the closet because his opener wants his own green room. So now I'm standing up with the fans, like the people that I sold these tickets to.
Yeah,
just thinking, so this is how you treat somebody who sold. I looked out about 400 people, 1/4 of the tickets for this show.
Yeah,
and I started realizing like, okay, maybe this isn't as sweet of a deal as I thought.
Yeah, I mean, like when I've like, there's situations with like, so there's like. Somebody like Drusky Entertainment, I think they're a very legitimate company.
Yeah, me too.
Right? And like, I have played shows, funny enough, for Drusky Entertainment, funny enough, at the Smiling Moose, where, I've sold tickets for that, but that's a much different situation than like Joe Schmo hitting me up that is renting the room.
Oh, yeah.
Independent promoter type stuff versus like, somebody like Drusky, they're an actual fucking company.
Yeah, and that story had nothing to do with Drusky. It was like the whole like, I thought I had these like rights because I was selling these tickets, and I realized, I'm still just a local opener.
Oh, absolutely.
So I still did shows with Drusky for sure. Yeah. And actually, I've even recently working on reaching out to them for their rock shows. Because they were also moving more into rock at the time, so the rap shows were getting less and less.
Yeah.
But they were one of the best show promoters I worked with because I've worked in the electronic scene with promoters there, and that gets shady and weird.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I can tell you 100 stories about that.
Yeah, that's more like there's always, I guess the short thing, the short answer, the short point is that you really need to wade through, I guess, the bullshit to find the people that you can trust. Yeah, which sucks.
Well, and also try to find artists that are doing well and, reach out to them. A lot of artists will be more willing to talk to you than you think they are. And just ask them, like, hey, like, who do you book shows with? Who do you do this with? A lot of people are more willing to kind of, like, share, they won't maybe, like, directly connect to you, but be like, hey, maybe look into these shows here.
I mean, especially in a city like Pittsburgh. Yes. Like, let's be fucking real. Yeah. Like, none of us have anything to protect here.
Yes.
And honestly, the more community and networking we have in a city like this, the better.
Yeah.
There is no fucking social ladder to climb in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And there just isn't.
And if you think there is, you need to take a big step back.
Yeah. Got some bad news for you, buddy. Like and I don't mean that in a negative way. Yeah. It's actually, I think, what makes things really cool here because you get a lot of really good, genuine art and people that are doing this for genuine reasons.
Yes.
Because there is no game to play here.
Yeah.
Like if you're continuing to make music here and be a part of the independent scene in a city like Pittsburgh, you're really doing it for love of the game because there is no benefit. You know, build something here, build your craft here, get good at playing live, get good at networking, make friends, do all of that. But then also if you get the opportunity, get outside, go to other cities.
Yeah.
you could play the social game in other places if that's what you want to do, but this isn't the city for it.
Yeah, like I would hit the road and go out and play shows, and like I played one in Springfield, Illinois. Played one. I went down to AC3 down in Atlanta. I played like some little back alley shows at Art Basel in Miami.
Yeah.
It's like, but those places, like when you go and you're the new face, and if you put on a good show, you will have people come up to you afterwards and get your contact. And if you actually stay, you don't just dip and go party, and you meet all these people and they get to meet a real face, they will follow you. Because I have people even commenting like, man, I remember when I saw you, X, Y, and Z. I remember, you gave me like this shirt or something. And like people remember those moments.
Yeah.
And they become your real fans. So now when you go to these places, they will help promote for you.
Yeah.
So like it's like BB Guns were saying too. Like you got to go out there and meet real people, make those real connections. So that way when you come back, it's not just a random face showing up. Like it's like you at least have some family there that can help promote for you.
Yeah, yeah. And you're just like building on that story, and you are doing what I think is like kind of like the unspoken sort of goal. I think here is like, yes, like I have a goal and a mission to meet new people and to expand. And maybe I'm not looking for friends or whatever, but you want to meet new faces, you want to grow. And like the only way you do that is by continuing to put yourself in front of new strangers every day and meet people.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't be afraid to meet people.
Like this on this episode of Strangers in My House.
Exactly.
But I will say, after our 1 hour and 18-minute long conversation we have had so far, you feel like much less of a stranger, TK KAVI.
Same. Right back at you.
And I feel like we could probably talk for another hour 18.
Yeah. But I did not even realize it was that long.
Yeah, we've been cooking. So I think that we should probably start to pump the brakes a bit here on the conversation, but I'm not going to completely cut this off. I want to make sure that we have talked about everything that you were hoping to maybe address. I don't know if you have any other stuff that you wanted to bring up or let people know that we could talk about. I could talk about the complexities and nuances of growing your art for fucking an eternity.
Yeah.
But
so I mentioned that I'm working on 4 albums right now.
Yeah.
The first of which is going to be the Book of Her, or the Book of His Evil Romance. And it's been hard to write that because like now that I'm out of that place, revisiting it brings up a lot of, traumatic instances and such. But I think it's an important part of my story. So I wanted to at least promote that I'm working on that before I do all these other projects, and say that if anything I said resonated with anybody who's listening to this, I would greatly appreciate it if you would come follow along on this journey. I hope you like the music. If you don't, I understand. It's not everybody's cup of tea. But if you do, then I promise you that I will continue to put out music. I will continue to play shows. And I hopefully will have some sort of impact on your life that is in a positive way. And that's all I can ask for.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm on Instagram and TikTok. that's where you can find.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, obviously you'll be tagged in all of the posts here for people that are watching the show. I think it's been really great getting to sit down and chat with you. I really appreciate you reaching out. I really like. It's always such a gamble bringing people on the show that I don't know. Because like. I don't fucking know you. Yeah. But that's also part of like the joy of this is meeting new people. I can't talk to just the same people I've been talking to over and over again. There's no way I'd be able to be doing this as long as I have been. Yeah. But I will say that this is, I guess, just for anybody that is maybe wants to come on the show. You got to have good vibes. If I don't fucking know you, you got to have good vibes online or I am not going to fucking respond to you. And you have very good vibes online. Yeah. So I do appreciate you reaching out. I do think that the stuff that I've heard you doing, I can hear there's like a lot of cool influence in there. We really didn't like get into the nuance of any of the music itself. We were talking a lot more about the outside of things. But I will say, go fucking check out the music. Yeah. Let it speak for itself. What am I going to say about it? I think it's cool. Check it out. Yeah. And I'm excited to hear new stuff too.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess I could say on that, Living in a Daydream is an album that I wrote as like a rock opera-ish where it tells a story from the front to the back. So if you are interested in that type of thing, give it a listen front to back, see how it makes you feel. And yeah, I just appreciate anybody who wants to come listen to the art.
Hell yeah. Well, with all of that being said, I guess I'm going to do my little outro and then we'll stop recording.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that is all, folks. One more time. TK KAVI, make some fucking noise. I'll be back again next week with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Brian Sykes House. Start the Beat is the podcast. 2026 is the year. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you. We did it. Peace out. That was a podcast.
That was a podcast. Yes, it was.
Hell yeah, baby. Woo.